What's up?
Hey guys,
Welcome to episode.
season 2, episode number 4.
Yeah.
We had a really rough time the first time around. I think second
Little
season, you're still having a hard time. I think I've got it down by now.
Called you all over.
It's like my first day every day.
Hopefully our computers work.
I spilled the Irish car bomb on my computer.
It is presently almost St. Patrick's Day, so we did an Irish car bomb.
So you can celebrate with us
But
in
2 weeks, when this comes out, it will not be St. Patrick's Day.
It's like second St. Patrick's Day for them.
If you need an excuse to drink again, welcome to Counting Cryptids.
Oh, it's a great introduction.
So today is going to be a little bit weird. Let me backtrack. First of all, our Instagram poll, our episodely, bi-weekly Instagram poll.
Okay, so we do.
Like we do, yes. We post an Instagram poll at the beginning of the recording, and you have a chance to answer while we're recording, and we can read answers and everything at the end.
So we put a poll up.
This one's kind of revealing this week, so if you follow us on social media, sometimes you'll get like a heads up, so you know, like, what to expect. The next episode we're doing next.
So you can research and just make us look like idiots.
Also, I'm guessing you posted on the Discord that we had just posted that on the Instagram.
Yes, I have.
Actively doing so now. The Discord's been hopping off lately. If you're not on there, go do it.
It has been crazy. What was it, yesterday? It was nonstop.
I think it was Friday, because it was right after the episode came out.
That was yesterday.
Holy shit. Okay. Weird. All right, so what was the question this week? Verbatim, Connor.
It was, is this a raccoon?
Fair enough. It doesn't really translate very well into an audio form, but
there's
he
a
posted
picture.
And it is of what we are talking about this week.
This week's
the
topic.
Montauk Monster. So there will be that link to that photo as well in the episode description. I think I usually title it main image.
Yeah. It'll probably be the main image.
There'll be like main image and another image or another main image or something stupid like that. It's in the description. You'll find it. It'll be like right at the top.
But if you missed that story notification, go over to the Instagram.com/countingcryptids and make sure that you get notifications on our posts so that you can know when we're recording and you can answer the polls, and we will always read them at the end. If you've got any comments, there is also a post on our wall. I don't know what it's called, but it's you can comment what you think that monster is, that image. So we'll read the answers at the end. Stay tuned, folks.
Moving
now for
on.
a commercial break.
Moving on. This one's going to be a little bit different than some of the other episodes we've done in the past. I don't think anybody's like arguing that this is just like an animal that is alive somewhere other than like maybe a lab.
Yeah.
So, you know what? It's not like really like a cryptid in the sense. We're a little loose with the term cryptid around here.
If you haven't noticed.
Also, I got kind of sidetracked by my tinfoil hat on this one, so at some point, I think it's going to take a pretty sharp turn.
Out.
That's all I'm going to say on that for now. But I guess let's dive into it.
Dive. It was found on a beach.
Really,
it was a stretch.
Long walk for
It was a stretch. Did my best. What is the Montauk Monster?
Okay, so I guess the origin story of the photo. July 23rd, 2008, 3 women are on a walk on Ditch Plains Beach just outside of Montauk, New York, when they noticed a group of people gathered together around something further down the beach. When they got closer, they saw a mangled carcass of what later would become known as the Montauk Monster. The body was slightly bigger than that of a cat, only had a few tufts of fur remaining on its discolored flesh. Its hands appeared to almost have finger-like appendages on them, and its snout tapered into what seems to be a beak, while its lower jaw has several large, sharp teeth. Also, it had a long rat-like tail.
All right. Thanks for checking out Counting Cryptids. We'll see you in 2 weeks for a new episode.
I feel like you've done that like 5 times, and it's never been funny.
It's funny to me. Someone is laughing. If you laughed, join the Discord and post.
I don't know if you had more about that one than I did.
I saw that the one and only Lauren Coleman got word of this article like as soon as it hit the local press, and he coined the name Montauk Monster.
Oh.
The
What a badass.
the original post had some weird thing that had to do with something we're gonna get into later. Something about like a mad scientist combining animals. I don't know what the thing was called. Cut that out. Doesn't matter.
All right.
Coined by Lauren Coleman.
Cool.
Also, I saw. I got on this thing about finding where the thing's at. It's dumb. It's silly. So apparently, allegedly, Eric Olson, who is a surfer and real estate agent,
Yes.
picked up the corpse. He was quoted saying he grabbed that thing, put it in a bag, threw it in the back of his real estate car, and was worried that he's gonna be pulled over. Like, hey, smells like you got a dead body in your trunk. And in fact, he did.
They were waiting for animal control to come and get it, and the dude just they said there's some old dude just came down the beach and fucking swooped it up.
Yeah, but this Eric Olson
is claiming to have done that. Yeah,
he's I don't know, maybe 25, 30. He's a younger guy. He's not an old guy.
I didn't have an age on him, but yeah,
I didn't have an age on him either. But his picture I've seen of recent 2015.
He doesn't look.
He doesn't look old.
Okay.
Anyway, but they
Well, he was a surfer, so you know.
It's weird. Anyway, his plan was to take it to his buddy's house and have it decompose so he could preserve the bones and sell them to a fashion photographer for a Damien Hirsty art project. And since then,
furthermore,
according to Eric Olson himself, someone came and took the carcass, and now I have to hunt for my damn creature. And then, according to the East Hampton Star, the corpse was taken by Carter and Colin Davis, twin brothers who turned it over to their father, Paul, who had plans on making it a movie. But apparently, the two boys had permission to take the bones.
I didn't understand
that at all. And then Eric was just it's cool.
I didn't get that at all.
A roller coaster of an article.
It was very confusing. I didn't really. It was very conflicting information on that one. I don't know if conflicting is the right word, but it was fucking weird.
It was very weird. I posted that.
How does that just drop off too? Notes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was a huge hit in 2008.
Everybody's looking for the body. Well, it was stolen from me. We're the ones who took it. We gave it to Dad. Okay, cool. He's making a movie.
Dad's making a movie.
What's the guy's name again?
Paul Davis or Eric Olson? Eric Olson is
Paul Davis. He's the guy who has it. Who is making the movie.
Allegedly, yes. I saw that in one spot only, and it was the website for the East Hampton Star.
I can't find a photo of it mounted anywhere.
Yeah, I think the original story was the girl said that the girl had been trying to contact the Animal Rescue League or whatever, and
animal shelter.
Yeah, the shelter, and some old guy came, picked it up, and said he was going to mount it on his wall, and that was the story that one girl provided.
This is sort of.
It already starts off weird. It's a weird topic, and it only gets weirder.
Yeah. So again, there's a body of a thing came up, and nobody really knows what it was. I guess there's some suggestions of what people thought it could be.
There is quite a few suggestions of what it could be.
I have raccoon, possum, and a turtle with no shell, but the turtle with no shell, you definitely disproved.
Let's hit the turtle with a shell first, because that is initially what I thought.
Yes, when we were
after looking
at
it for a bit, me and Jacob were looking at it for 5 minutes, and I was like, it looks like a turtle without its shell. Could it be that? Well, apparently no. We looked into it.
Well, it has ears. I don't think turtles have ears like that.
True, and they don't have teeth.
Oh, okay, good call. And they don't have fingers, and this doesn't have flippers.
Correct. Also, the sea turtle's spine is fused to the shell, and removing it would destroy the body.
It wouldn't have skin on its back.
Yeah.
This thing is covered in skin, but it kind of looks like a turtle with no shell.
Yeah, it's weird.
Also has ears.
It's like Franklin if he just took his shell off.
Oh God, my childhood.
Rattled.
Yeah, I am shook. Do you have other possible suggestions somewhere?
Rodent is another suggestion.
I guess we don't technically have any scale in the photo.
Yeah, okay. So we talked about this just before recording.
Yes.
There is a black speck on like I would say like the shoulder back area.
The left side of the photo on the creature's right hip, sort of above its right hip.
Yeah, it's a little black thing. And some researchers said that it was a fly and took scale off of that, saying that it was about the size of a raccoon. This is not what we're talking about right now. We're on rodents.
Okay, rodents. Yes.
The second theory.
I mean, I would say those its hands, its paws don't look like rodents, and
correct.
Its ears are floppy, and I think rodents are smaller and rounder and not.
Yeah, think Mickey Mouse.
Oh, okay, good call. I don't know if that's actually what a fucking mouse's ears look like. Now I gotta
Probably not at all.
I type in mouse and it's just fucking computer. Yeah, they're more rounded.
Yeah,
they're kind of okay.
But they are good swimmers.
Rodents.
Not that they couldn't get
they could definitely still drown.
Injured, drown, right? But they also have two huge relative curved incisor teeth in front of their mouths.
Okay.
Your wife might know more about that incisors than I do. But
are those not present on this photo?
The top.
Is that the implication?
The top looks beak-like.
Okay.
If we mention this, it does have some
couple of
teeth on the bottom
bangers in there. Yeah.
Yeah, they got some big teeth. Anyway, it was ruled out it wasn't a rodent, more than likely. The next one was like a canine or a dog.
It does kind of have dog-like ears.
The body is very dog-like, almost like.
It kind of almost looks like it has pads on the bottom of its feet as well. So it does kind of look like a dog, but I don't think it's a dog.
Fingers,
teeth are a little off. There's a small tuft of fur on its right arm underneath what appears to be like a rag tied around its arm.
Yeah,
it's
kind of weird. It's a little weird.
Very confusing on that one. But there's a small tuft of fur underneath that doesn't look. I don't know. It's kind of dark brown with some black in there and maybe a little bit of white. I don't think it's a dog.
Yeah. The thing that it said wherever I looked, whatever link this was on, said that the prominent eye ridge and feet don't match that of a canine.
Yeah, they say the feet definitely don't look like a.
For sure, the
dog.
front feet. The back feet are a little iffy.
You don't really have a good sight, good view of the back feet.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
Another suggestion that I didn't see in too many places, but ovine, like a sheep.
Oh, okay. Interesting. I did not see that anywhere.
But obviously, sheep don't have teeth like that.
Yeah. It sort of looks like a pig. Also.
Yeah. Saw pig.
Oh, I didn't see this angle.
It's very strange. It's very strange. So a few like William Wise, the director of Stony Brook University's Living Marine Resources Institute, think that the Montauk Monster is most likely a latex figure.
Really?
Like somebody made it.
Interesting. I mean, I don't know.
And we'll talk a little bit more about why it might have been a latex figure, like why that comes into play.
Okay.
I don't know if William Wise connected like these two things to come up with it being a latex figure. Like, fuck it. Apparently, some people think that it's a prop for a movie, like promotion for a movie.
They have it wash up on shore, and everybody's like, "What the fuck is this?" And the internet blows up, freaking out about it, and then all of a sudden,
mysteriously disappears.
The corpse vanished. We can prove what the DNA was, and then a movie comes out about it like 2 weeks later.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little stretch. I don't know. It's quite the publicity stunt.
Boy, if it is, they picked the right place to do it.
Like, yeah, I guess.
Did we talk about where this is at? Montauk, New York? Really? Kind of.
Yeah, we didn't really talk about this.
That's why it's called the Montauk Monster. It's not really much of a monster.
Yeah.
Sorry. Moving on.
Moving back, but then on. This was in 2008. Did we say this already?
Yes.
Boy.
Yeah, I mentioned the date.
Okay, good. Delete that.
Did you have more possible suggestions of what it could be?
Some people think that it might be like an alien.
Oh, okay, interesting.
I didn't really read, like, I guess you wouldn't know where it came from because it died.
You would have zero information.
Impact,
yes.
Probably.
So if it was an alien, is it like, you think that is like the intelligent alien, or is that like its pet or something that was just like on board the ship?
Kicked its dog out the spaceship into the ocean?
No, like it crashed and like the dog just washed ashore.
It doesn't look like an intelligent being.
It's not wearing pants.
Correct.
Maybe its pants burned off. I don't know.
It's not wearing pants. What if we evolve into a species that doesn't wear pants?
I think that would be devolving, Connor.
I am all in on a pantsless future as my platform for president in 20 years.
You will not. That won't go well for you. They'll cite this podcast as like, why you really want to fucking elect this guy?
Yeah, they're pulling up shit from people's like private stuff. This is public fucking knowledge. Just Google my name, I bet this comes up. But hey, maybe in the future, in 20 years, this will be a relevant podcast.
Unlikely.
We did bring up raccoon.
I mentioned raccoon briefly.
That's a pretty big one. I feel like a lot of people lean towards raccoon.
Raccoon is most commonly cited as, I think there was some sort of wildlife biologist or somebody who, quote unquote, positively identified it as being a raccoon. But again, you're looking at photos of it, and I have. Oh, do you have?
No, I don't have the name.
Okay. I have here from not quite an expert, but somebody who might have some knowledge on this. This was on the Montauk-Monster.com. It was written by Rebecca Alex Turner. As a wildlife rehabber with Nuts for Squirrels Wildlife Rehabilitation located in Northeast Florida, I have cared for possums and raccoons on numerous occasions and know for a fact that the washed-up creatures are not former raccoon or possum. I was also a 3-year Envirothon team member in both the Fred B. Miller and Florida State Envirothons. My school's team always placed first in our county and scored high in wildlife identification. This brings me to the reasons the creature are not a raccoon or a possum. Raccoons do not take on a beaked appearance when their skull is bared, contrary to what has been posted in several pictures. The slight beak the skull takes clearly displays the row-out mount for the teeth. This is not seen in the Montauk images or the images of similar creatures. The orbital ridge of a raccoon's skull lines up with the lower brain case to form a rounded dinner bell shape not seen in the bird's eye view of images of the Montauk skull. Lastly, the limbs of the Montauk creature are too short to be a raccoon. Raccoons have long limbs that leave them looking like they walk on stilts until the long belly fur of adulthood grows in. Possums have too few forward teeth and shorter second fang behind the long canines on the upper jaw and narrow orbits. Otters are ruled out for both as well due to the lack of orbital delta wings on the outer forward orbit rim. However, river and sea otters are possible explanations for the images of the Canadian creature, quote, the ugly one, regarding the definition and skull shape. Dentition.
I mean, I am no scientist.
Dentition? Dentition and skull shape. Regarding dentition and skull shape.
I'm not a scientist.
Me either.
But
this person is also maybe not a scientist. I'm not 100% certain, but they are a wildlife rehabber. So I assume they did some sort of schooling. They're more of an expert than me. I put an expert-ish. Says it's not a raccoon or a possum in my notes. I don't know what her credentials are.
I know that best in the county.
Probably knows more than me. Their school always placed best in the county.
Again, that's not a huge feat. Best in the county was that like how many schools are
I don't fucking know shit about Florida, man. It's Florida. This is not Iowa. I don't know, dude.
I just said like 3 other schools that are the best of the 3.
Either way, it does. I mean,
small pool.
I've identified things before. I've worked with them before. I haven't. This person
has more experience than
she has
either
more
of us.
Experience than either of us do. This person is more of an expert than myself. And says that it is not, and then has some reasons that seem relatively intelligent. They're looking at
I don't mean to knock her. I feel like I'm over here knocking her.
That's the show. You're not. You're fine.
Yeah.
It's the name of the game.
Disclaimer, if we mentioned you in one of your works...
All quoted stories are likenesses of... whatever that South Park disclaimer is at the beginning. I don't remember.
But yeah, I looked at a raccoon skull, and it has like that nose cavity in the front. I could see how if it was broken, it could maybe...
if the face was already like broken,
like
okay.
It more than likely was like out at sea for quite some time, got banged around some rocks. Obviously, like probably its fur is gone due to just being in the water for so long. And
or I mean, again, pre or and post mortem could have had its face broke, like if it got hit by a car or something.
Exactly.
I mean, it could have had mange too. Like maybe half of its fur was fucking gone before it died. I don't.
Yeah.
I
just don't think it's that unlikely that it was.
It's not an unrealistic idea, especially since it has these fingers.
Yes. The fingers are a pretty good indicator. It might be a raccoon.
I can't find a picture of a raccoon tail without fur anywhere. I found a picture of a bald raccoon, but I can't see his butt.
Okay.
I just keep getting coonskin caps.
Available at countingcryptids.com. Is that false advertising?
Yes. No, because I said no, it's not actually.
Not available.
Is this also... okay. The tail is not dissimilar.
Okay.
They have sort of a rodent-esque tail.
Furless, yeah. Possum. Possum has the same fingered things?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so either. They do climb trees fairly well.
They do kind of have fingers.
I didn't see that suggested. Possum?
Possum? I saw it, but not like... I think everybody was more convinced that it was a raccoon over a possum.
Okay.
I don't know what the reasoning was for that. I didn't see anything in the second photo that looked like a pouch, because possums are marsupials.
Yes.
So in the second photo, no.
Has anybody seen a raccoon?
Yeah.
I have too.
One was living in my house, my old house.
No bueno. We just had bats.
Oh, God. There used to be a bat here in the garage. We named him Quagmire.
What is in my drink?
There's a little nitrogen thing in the bottom, so when you open it, that's why it was so foamy.
Word for my health.
No, you're good. It's a thing they do with, like, European beers and...
You're weird.
Goodness. Yeah, you're supposed to drink shit warm, too.
Ooh. I think I could probably do that, honestly.
Not in America.
Not as warm as your fucking UV blue that was in your
What, the
Sunfire.
First drink you had of alcohol ever when we were
I
fucking
wouldn't
16
say
years old?
that was the first drink of alcohol I've ever had in my life.
Okay,
it was
not
the
counting communion
worst.
wine, Connor.
I never drank communion wine. It
wasn't
grape
UV blue.
juice.
It was lemonade. It was UV lemonade. I'm almost certain of it.
I'm like 90% sure it was blue.
I think it was. I don't think it was blue. I drank a lot of UV blue back in the day, but I think it was. Like
it was
raspberry
92 degree UV.
It was really hot.
Maybe
out and
raspberry
really gross.
lemonade.
I think it might have been raspberry lemonade.
In blue in color.
Because it must have just been blue then. If you remember that vividly that it was blue, it must have just been UV blue.
It was
so much
really
so
bad.
that you remember it 10 years later.
I remember it very, very vividly. The weird thing about memories is you only remember the last thing that...
The last time you remembered it? Yes.
How fucked up is that?
Oh, very much so. And I think about that all the time. I'm like, what in my life is fucking real, man?
Right?
Like, and then sometimes if you go back far enough, you're like, I don't actually know if that was real or not now.
There's many times in my
Is
life.
that, or like sometimes you'll have a dream that's like super vivid, then you'll go back like, you'll think it was a thing, and then all of a sudden it'll click and you're like, oh my God, that was a dream that never fucking happened.
I did that one time. And I honestly, I still don't even know if it was a dream or not.
You still?
I still don't know.
What?
Okay.
Okay, I need information.
So what I remember, in quotes, was that I was like sitting in a car. We were driving up a mountain, me and my parents, very young, and somehow the door opened and I was hanging outside the car. I wasn't on the outside of the cliff. Like, if I fell, I would fall off the cliff. It was like I'm hanging outside of a moving fucking car at 3 years old, like really young, like hanging on the seatbelt, and my mom pulled me in. That's as much as I remember. I'm like pretty sure it's a dream, but I have no idea.
Why don't you ask your mom? Then you would know.
Mom, did I fall out of a car at a young age?
So you'd just be like, hey, so this might have been a dream I had like 15 years ago.
I don't talk to my parents about these things.
All right, man. All right.
It's like some child trauma. I'm going to go to a therapist in 20 years and they'll be like, what?
You fell out of
what
it.
the
No.
fuck?
See, or you could just talk to your mom about it and she'd be like, no, it was a dream. You'd be like, cool, now I don't have to go to a psychotherapist in 20 years.
That's exactly what I would tell my kid. Nah, that you were dreaming that. I didn't really drop you out of a car. Like, my kid fell down the stairs. Like, I'm going to tell him that was a fucking dream.
I just heard some story of, who the fuck was telling me this? That they had, like, when somebody was a kid, there was, like, they, like, fell out of the car or something almost, but they didn't actually, they were just, like, playing around and like opened the door and like jumped out of the car while it was moving. And like her parents sold the fucking car because they thought that she just like the door opened and she just fucking fell out. Like I don't understand what the didn't have the courage to tell them until she's like a fucking grown ass woman.
That they thought
I don't remember where the fuck
that
this
they
was at. This might
thought
have been
the
like
car was
my
possessed.
wife's family. I don't really fucking know what the deal was, man. I like heard the story. I don't remember.
I feel better about my life.
Yeah. No, it's a thing that happens. I feel like something similar happened to me one time too.
Is that just like a fear that you just grow up with living in
maybe
the
my
century
brother
we
was
live
like
in?
fucking like he just like kept opening the door. My mom was driving. She just like got pissed. That might have been a thing.
Like,
Also, the door broke on one of the cars one time, so we were leaving Taekwondo and got out to the car. My mom's like, "Hey, I need you to sit up front." I was like, "Yeah, let's go." And she's like, "You have to hold the door closed." I was like, "What?"
Oh fuck!
Yeah. So there's like fucking 3 bungee cords and me at 7, just like white knuckling the fucking door with one hand and the other hand's like over on the fucking center console, just trying not to fly out.
Welcome to Counting Traumas.
Tracing traumas. Let's be serious. All right. In all seriousness, moving back to where we need to be here. Is that all you have for your possible suggestions or reasoning why you think it's a raccoon until we're getting off the fence?
Looks like a raccoon. I don't know. I'm not a scientist. I did have one more, and I think you've got quite a bit of information on this. And that is the conspiracy theory around Plum Island Animal Disease Center.
All right.
Which is just 15 miles away from the beach that this corpse washed up upon.
Well, it's 15 miles away from Montauk.
Yeah.
I don't know how far away this beach was from Montauk. It's close there. It's very, very close. It
Within
might be like 16
swimming
miles.
distance.
Actually, this time. It
For
might be
real.
like 16 miles. I don't want somebody to like get on us about like technicality. Like, you said it was 15 miles.
The world distance record in swimming is
No, no, no,
13.2
swimming. It's
miles.
Anyway, yes. So did you have something about this right now, or are you just trying to segue me into this vomit?
Let me lay an overview of what we're about to get into.
A lot of mine has nothing directly to do with the Montauk Monster.
That's
just
okay.
throwing that out there.
But it could.
So it's building a case.
So some people think that the animal that washed up on shore was created in a lab on Plum Island, the Plum Island Disease Center, Animal Disease Center. It is assumed that it escaped from the island.
Though it assumed it escaped, or just like was haphazardly,
was
just like somebody just hucked it out into the ocean to get rid of it. Like, yeah, something will eat it, and it just like ended up making it ashore.
I mean,
because a lot of these things kind of are
what I heard
ashore.
from your story, like from your research,
from what I have told you of what I have done. Yes,
it is very likely that if there was something like this on the island in the lab, it could have escaped rather easily. So Jenna Hewitt is one of the first people to have taken pictures of the Montauk Monster. And she told The Independent, quote, "We were looking for a place to sit when we saw some people looking at something. We didn't know what it was. We joked that it was something from Plum Island." So it
was already in the
ether,
the lore of the land, as it were. People of the area. Okay, interesting.
So
I have not seen that anecdote about them.
Animal that escaped from the island.
They do
supposedly like genetically modified
there's
or
some
something.
Like animal research centers around here. I need to like go post up around them and see if weird shit comes running out. No, I'd probably get arrested for like sitting outside them for too long. They'd think I was like part of PETA or something. I'd go to jail and get interrogated for a long time, and they'd be like, "Oh, you're just doing shitty research for a podcast." Okay.
Have you heard of Counting Cryptids?
No, you're not alone.
1 in 6 billion people know of Counting Cryptids.
How many people are there in the world? 8 billion?
Something like 6.
Oh, so one person? Okay. It's a little bit more than that. So yes, this Plum Island Animal Research Center. Is that really all you have on that introductory thing? Is that all you have on that?
Yes.
I'm kind of, my bit here is just fucking painting a picture of the Plum Island Animal Research, the Animal Disease Center. I think I called it research. PIADC. PIAD. That sounds awful. Remove that. So there is a very, very long list. I am going to run through all of this as best I fucking can, and all of it is just painting a picture of, shall we say, negligence?
You can say that.
Oh, okay. I think it paints an appropriate picture to put us in the mindset of like why this people would think this, or why this could be a credible thing, or even just like why the fuck is this a thing? Maybe.
Why the fuck is this a thing,
dude? You don't even know fucking half of this. Like, it's actually nuts. So
I read the overview from mysteriousSuniverse.com.
Okay.
So that's what I know.
So there is also some like loose connection from Operation Paperclip with Eric Traub, I believe was his name. It was a Nazi scientist who was brought over through Operation Paperclip, and some of the work he was doing with like foot and mouth disease and everything laid groundwork for the Animal Research Disease Center. Plum Island Animal Disease Center. So a lot of things were tying it to that, like those nefarious sort of ties as well. Again, all of this is just painting a picture of this to it. So all of this next part is coming directly from butnerblogspot.wordpress.com. So I'm just going to be reading straight from here. I cut some of them out just because they don't... I left so much of it in. I cut out some of it, but I felt like a lot of this just needed to be included for one reason or another. I might want to do this part first. Okay, so I'm going to do this first, actually. I lied. So this, I'm going to go through and cut that out. This article is called Lyme Disease on Plum Island, Fringe Conspiracy Theory or Government Cover-Up by, it says Smaranda? Smaranda.
Smaranda?
It says Smaranda
Dimitri.
I'm Smaranda. Smaranda Dimitri.
Okay.
On sites.newspal.com/TikTok. Like ticks, like the bug. It's on Lyme disease.
Oh.
That went way over your head because this is audio. Yes. So there's a quote on there from this article. The reason some believe Lyme disease escaped from Plum Island is because the island is located just a few miles off the coast of Lyme, Connecticut, which is where the first outbreak of Lyme disease was observed in 1975. While scientists say that all animals on the island are killed to prevent the possible spread of diseases, conspiracy theorists argue that birds regularly fly between the island and the mainland and thus are able to spread diseases that they may pick up.
There's something like thousands of bird species at Plum Island or something.
Oh, I don't have that information.
I think I saw that somewhere in my research.
I don't know if Lyme came from Plum Island, said April Ferguson, who is a chief strategy officer for Hudson Valley Police-oriented think tank. But it's weird that no one talks about it. Doctors are scared to treat and diagnose it, and government doesn't talk about it. Ferguson started considering the link between Lyme disease and Plum Island after she saw a press release describing how the Center for Disease Control were closing a Texas A&M University biodefense lab due to outbreaks of Brucella and Coxsackie burnetii, both tick-borne bacterial pathogens. This led Ferguson to wonder about Plum Island. Both the lab at Plum Island and the one at Texas A&M are biosafety level 3 labs and study similar infectious diseases such as foot and mouth, avian influenza, and Rift Valley fever. That was all on that one. So a lot of people believe that Lyme disease came from this place there, because the outbreaks, the first ones came from right there.
Yeah.
Seems odd, but let's get, again, okay, so I had mentioned this before, that'll probably get cut out, so this bit's coming from
How could they let a disease like that out?
Well, okay, so you're with ticks.
Yes.
Just hold your horses there, buddy. So we're going back over to this butnerblogspot.wordpress.com. We'll have links to all of this stuff. Again, I cut some of this out. I left most of it in because it seems like it helps paint the picture of the Plum Island Animal Disease Center. So, quote, "The legacy of Plum Island Animal Disease Center is not one of promise and prosperity. It is one of security breaches, environmental releases, and funding cuts. The funding and the grants will be benefit to the business special interests, academia, and universities, not surrounding communities. The community will be left with what New York residents are being left with. A dangerous biohazard on a massive scale. Ask yourself, is a legacy of PIADC what you want for your children and grandchildren? The summary below is part of a petition. It outlines many issues that have not been part of the public debate. It appears here with the permission of the author, Dr. Joseph Melamed. Dr. Melamed recently had this to say about the lab. It is not a political, economic, or race issue. It's a public health issue. The existing Plum Island Animal Disease Center, which the proposed facility will replace, has a disastrous record of leaks and security breaches. December 24th, 1967. The New York Times reports, fatal virus found in wild ducks in Long Island. A virus never before seen in western New Hampshire, which began with ducks on the north and south forks of Long Island opposite Plum Island, spread across the entire continent by 1975. 1971, USDA proclaims that Plum Island has been considered the safest in the world on virus diseases. As proof of this statement, there has never been a disease outbreak among susceptible animals maintained outside of the laboratory on the island since it was established. 1975, Plum Island Animal Disease Center begins work feeding viruses to hard ticks, including the Lone Star tick, now an endemic to New York, but before 1975, never seen outside of Texas, which is a carrier of, I'm not going to try to say that word, the Lyme disease bacteria. First cases of the disease, later known as Lyme disease, reported in Connecticut and eastern Long Island, both directly across from Plum Island. Current epidemiologic data shows that epicenters of all U.S. cases of Lyme disease was centered at Plum Island, New York. So in 1975, they started feeding viruses to hard ticks, including the Lone Star tick, which was never seen outside of Texas before 1975, but is now endemic in New York. It is the carrier of the Lyme disease bacteria. The first cases of the disease, later known as Lyme disease, were reported in Connecticut and eastern Long Island, both directly across from Plum Island.
That's some hard
Current
evidence.
data shows that the epicenter of all U.S. cases of Lyme disease was centered at Plum Island, New York.
That's how do you argue against that?
September 15th, 1978. News release. Foot and mouth disease has been diagnosed in cattle in pre-experimental animal holding facility at the Plum Island Animal Disease Center. A documented outbreak had occurred. The 1979 internal investigation of the foot and mouth disease outbreak uncovers massive widespread failures in contaminated systems at Plum Island Animal Disease Center. Committee recommended that Lab 101 not be considered as a safe facility in which to do work on exotic disease agents until corrective action is accomplished. Later, 1979. Disregarding the committee recommendation, the U.S. Army undertakes investigation of deadly zigzag 501 strain of Rift Valley fever at Plum Island Animal Disease Center. Sheep held outside of the lab that should have been destroyed as part of the containment policy following the foot and mouth disease outbreak were vaccinated with an experimental Rift Valley fever vaccine in violation of the lab's primary directive prohibiting outdoor experiments. 1983, 6 Plum Island workers tested positive for African swine fever virus. Workers were not notified of their results. 1991, federal government decides to privatize Plum Island Animal Disease Center. A New Jersey company, Burns and Rowe Services Corporation, is the low bidder and is awarded the contract. In order to cut costs, expensive safety and security measures were scaled back. June 1991, an underground power cable supplying Lab 257 at PIADC shorts out and is not replaced because there's no money left in the budget.
Just a real shit show.
August 18th, 1991, Category 3 Hurricane Bob hits Plum Island, knocking down overhead power lines connecting Lab 257 to its only remaining source of electricity, a generator at another location on the island. Freezers containing virus samples defrost, air seals on lab doors are breached, and animal holding room vents fail. The lab's fail-safe mechanism and air dampers to seal off the facility also fail in the open position. Melted virus samples mixed with infected animal waste on the floors, while swarms of mosquitoes fill the facility. September 1991, USDA denies that the system's failure occurred during the hurricane. Both workers in Lab 257 at the time of the blackout were fired. Both later developed mysterious undiagnosed diseases. 1992, OSHA and EPA cite PIADC with hundreds of safety violations. OSHA returns 5 years later and found that the violations had not been corrected. At that time, 124 new violations were found. July 13th, 1992, while USDA continues to officially deny that any biological weapons research takes place at PIADC, 14 Joint Chiefs of Staff, Army, and Pentagon officials visit Plum Island. Internal documents indicate the visit was to, quote, meet with Plum Island staff regarding biological warfare. Early 1990s, PIADC annual reports to Congress is eliminated. August 1999, first 4 human cases of West Nile virus ever reported in the Western Hemisphere are diagnosed on Long Island, New York. Horse farms, all within 5-mile radius of one another on the North Fork of Long Island, directly opposite Plum Island, report horses dying of the following seizures. 25% of the horses in this small area tested positive for West Nile virus. Of the 271,000 equines tested in the 3 states at the time of the outbreak, only those on the North Fork of the Long Island were tested positive. 1999, New York Post quotes USDA spokesperson, quote, top security at Plum Island does not mean top secret. In spite of this statement, attempts to obtain information on the inventory of viruses in storage at PIADC under the Federal Freedom of Information Act were denied on the basis of, quote, national security. 1999, a Cold War-era document is declassified, proving that in the early 1950s, 12 vials of weaponized anthrax, enough to kill over 1 million people, were shipped to PIADC. The revelation directly contradicts prior official statements to the contrary by government agencies. July 2000, New York State DEC finds, quote, very troubling hazardous waste violations at PIADC, promoting New York State Attorney General to sue the USDA. July 2001, court-approved consent orders forces USDA to admit sewage discharge violations. September 2001, shortly after the 9/11 terrorist attacks, someone begins sending weaponized anthrax through the mail, killing 5 people. Genetic analysis showed that the dry anthrax spores used in the attacks originated at USAMRIID, Fort Detrick, Maryland. Even though the USDA continued to deny the presence of weaponized anthrax at PIADC, the FBI included the following questions in their polygraph tests to scientists under investigation. Have you ever been to Plum Island? Do you know anyone who works at Plum Island? What do they do there? August 2002, PIADC workers go on strike to protest unsafe working conditions. December 2002, National Resource Defense Council names Plum Island number 2 of 12 worst polluters in New York and New Jersey. A state senator on the task force comments, what disturbs me is the consistent flow of misinformation. I feel that some of the misinformation borders on a cover-up. It shakes the foundation of a very form of government. June 2003, President George W. Bush transfers control of PIADC to Homeland Security. Airspace over Plum Island remains unrestricted, and gates to Lab 101 are open and unguarded. Least of the security breaches have occurred at BSL-4 labs, not just PIADC, which is the labs that they are moving to. 1994, Verlat at Yale infected with Sebus virus, now diagnosed as BSL-4 agent. 75 other workers exposed. 2001, multiple researchers infected with plague at Rocky Mountain Lab. Research tested positive for anthrax. June 2003, 113 vials of anthrax, brucellosis, Ebola, and other organisms uncovered during excavation of toxic waste site at Fort Detrick, Maryland. That is all I'm saying on this shit for now. It was more than I needed.
But holy fuck. It literally never got better. I don't even know how people worked there. What, 40, 50 years? 50 years it was reported to be in shit condition? Swarms of mosquitoes in the 70s? Something like that? People.
The hurricane in 91.
Okay.
That was the one where I was like, whoa, what?
And it's still in use today, correct?
Yeah, so
until what, 2023?
The expected shutdown date is 2023 if that happens, and they're just like moving to a different lab that's in fucking Manhattan, Kansas.
We'll be visiting and waiting outside.
I will no
strange animals.
No. So what this says to me is they're definitely doing stuff that I'm probably not allowed to talk about on air. I guess I wouldn't know about it anyway.
Yeah.
But whatever. They're doing weird shit. They're also doing stuff with animals. But with the really lack security seems very strange to me. And
yeah, there's absolutely no upkeep.
Also, people testing positive for things and then not told that they had them, and then the
not
people
even knowing what they are.
Where'd that one go? Oh my god, there's so many. I'm trying to find things that I read for. It wasn't even that long ago, but.
What's that website if people want to read through those?
Yeah, I will post that link to that one again. It is Butner, Butner, blogspot.wordpress.com was where that was posted at. When they talked about the 2 employees being fired and then
not
getting sick with some disease that was
unidentified. That's fucked. That makes me so nervous about fucking government agencies. Government-controlled bodies.
So there was the hurricane that we had just talked about in 1999. So the Category 3 Hurricane Bob hits Plum Island, knocking down overhead power lines connecting Lab 207 to its only remaining source of electricity, a generator at another location on the island. Freezers containing virus samples defrost Air seals on the lab door are breached, and animal holding room vents fail. The lab's fail-safe mechanism of air dampers to seal off the facility also fail in the open position. Melted virus samples mix with the infected animal waste on the floor while swarms of mosquitoes fill the facility. The USDA denies that the system's failure occurred during the hurricane. Both workers in Lab 207 at the time of the blackout are fired. Both later develop mysterious, undiagnosed diseases.
That's fucked.
Yes.
I would like to talk to those two.
I would probably not like to.
I don't want to hear about the fucked up shit that happened.
There's way more on this website as well, and then there's a spokesman from somebody who was they were in court with or whatever the thing was. They were asking a bunch of questions about stuff, and there's a lot of really weird, a lot of dodgy things in there.
Pretty dodgy place, like that.
At the very least, we can agree on the fact that there are some flaws. I think to say the very least, there are some issues there. If you're dealing with diseases like that, like I would really, really, really like there to be like impenetrable,
quite a bit of regulations.
Oh my god, like 18 fucking doorways you have to go through, and then you have to like a
chamber.
Umbrella Corp thing where you're like a skyscraper down below the ground. Oh man.
But then that's how you get Umbrella Corporation, dude.
We already have it, man.
I know.
If this is the kind of shit, I mean, the failsafe, there's vents that are stuck open.
Yeah, just letting anything out of the facility.
Anything in.
True.
All these mosquitoes come in, and oh my god, dude, and all of these, you have instances of things happening around these places. You have instances of those being closed because of that. So you have to kind of look at that as, and when you have this many,
I don't like that it's coming to Kansas. That freaks me out.
Did you hundreds of OSHA and EPA violations that they didn't fix, and then there was 124 new ones when they came back 5 years later to check on it.
Hey, this stuff is still fucked up. Also,
it took 5 years for them to come back and be like, "Hey, there's hundreds of things wrong with these these diseases that will kill like all of the animals and a lot of people,
millions of people worth of anthrax." Coming to a local Kansas city near you.
Like I'm sure there's stuff like that around here already. Iowa State's here in town, you know what I mean? Like I'm sure there's some sort of disease, the disease research place. Like there's stuff like that all over the place. We live in Iowa. There's fucking Monsanto if we want to be real about it.
Oh my god, I live in the headquarters of Monsanto, and I've witnessed some weird things in Monsanto.
Did you see like a weird protest there when you were delivering?
I've seen multiple protests
with
Monsanto.
People wearing like devil masks outside.
Yes,
and you had to bring them
street,
food?
Bro. I had to walk in there like,
and you're just like rolling up, walking in, everybody's like glaring at you. You're like,
I asked
Jimmy Jones, bro.
I even asked the guy. I don't remember if it was a guy or a gal that helped me like at the front desk. There was nobody in there when I went in there.
Nobody is ever in there. I just like stood around. There was like a phone on the wall. Like, what?
Do I need to call somebody? Anyway, the lady, I was like, you know, like there's a protest going out there. She's like, yeah, we just try to ignore it. Like it was kind of weird. Like,
wait, you asked that? Like, did you know that there's a protest outside? Like,
I think
wait, what? There's 150 people outside wearing devil masks?
Okay, there wasn't 150.
I don't know how many people were there. I didn't go.
No more than 10, 12 people.
Oh, that's just awkward then, but okay.
Yeah. And they're in the middle of the road. But I think my exact words were, "What's going on with the protests out there?" And she just like didn't even acknowledge that it was a question. She's just like, I don't know, we just ignore it.
Okay. Interesting. It's just like internet trolls in real life at this point for them? Okay.
Just some nerds standing out in the corner.
Just some nerds out in the
I think
corner.
it was raining that day too, like
just hiding under the awning. They're nice enough to let them stand under the awning and protest.
We don't really want to get them sick by the rain. We'll wait till they get some corn at home.
Can't sue them.
Can't say bad panto on the internet.
Probably not. So I'm sorry this is not necessary.
Super focused on the Montauk Monster.
Yeah, but it at the same time it is. So
it really is.
I'm trying to paint a picture of this facility, and we had talked about this a little bit earlier of like, could it have escaped from there, or is it the kind of thing that was just like
let loose.
Well, not even that. It's just dead, and they're just like maybe they're throwing shit out into the fucking ocean to get rid of it because the freezers are broken. Like they don't have anywhere to store anything. That's just going bad and fucking smelling everything up. The thing allegedly smelled really bad as well.
Yeah, the guy Eric,
which as
Olsen
dead things
was
do.
like saying how he's like.
I think he said he was like trying not to puke.
Yeah, bringing it to his car.
So
I mean, it smells like a dead body. I don't know what that smells like, but it's probably not good. Could ask my friend Mary, I suppose.
You have a friend who works at a morgue?
She
mortician?
is in school for morticiary science.
Morticianry.
She's gonna be a mortician.
Okay. I assume dead people smell worse, but probably not. I don't fucking know. Real quick, you had something about dead people and Plum Island.
Yes. Give me a second. I have to pull this up.
All right. Let's go.
All right. This is an article on Mysterious Universe.
Oh hell yeah!
Strange conspiracies and conundrums at New York's mysterious Plum Island. All right, I'm just gonna read this straight off here.
Yes.
So this is in
we'll
the
link
middle.
to that in the description as well.
Yes, this is in the middle of the article. Even creepier still was the discovery of what was described by all accounts as a mutated human body on Plum Island itself. On January 14th, 2010. A private security guard was patrolling the perimeter of the research facility on the southwest end of the island at about 4:15 p.m. when he came across what was described as the body of a human male measuring around 6'2" in height and with a large build, wearing green cargo shorts, wearing green cargo pants, a light green short-sleeve shirt, and brown loafers. It doesn't seem too odd at first until one looks at some of the strange details of the corpse. The fingers of the unidentified man were said to be extremely elongated, and another odd detail was that he was found to have 5 symmetrical holes bored into his head either before or after death. There were no other signs of any sort of trauma on the body. Since there was no identification on this ranch.
Was there an autopsy performed that we have any information about, like cause of death or anything on that? Not that you have there.
Not that this article says, but it says that the original, initially the man was described as being a white male, yet the following day the official report was changed to that it was in fact a black male.
Interesting.
Reports of...
Is there maybe some like discoloration happening in that situation, sort of like there is with this Montauk Monster?
According to the official report from the authorities, there was just an oversight and went into no like further elaboration. Just some pretty fucking weird shit.
That was in 2010 that happened?
That was in 2010.
An autopsy was scheduled for this morning of a body of a woman found partially clothed yesterday morning at the Parker River National Wildlife Refuge on Plum Island, but there is no indication of foul play, officials say. The body of the woman who was found wearing pants was spotted near the Parker River National Wildlife Refuge by people walking the coastline.
Interesting.
The autopsy was scheduled for later that day. I have no cause of death. I assume that's Plum Island, New York, but I don't know why people would be walking the beach. I guess this says Boston, so maybe there's a separate one in Boston, but Boston's Massachusetts, right?
Yeah.
I don't think that's far, but my shit's kind of wonky.
Yeah, we had to look up the distance and location of Japan earlier.
Yeah, no shit. Maybe that one's irrelevant. Maybe I'll just cut that, but...
Just some very odd circumstances around this.
There's some weirdness surrounding it. I don't think alien is the answer on that.
Not at all. There's no reason for it to be an alien. It looks like a mammal of some sort.
The paws, for sure. It had to have been a mammal. There's a tuft of fur on it. Maybe it was a marsupial. I don't think it was. We never had a body ultimately for long enough to like do any DNA testing. Yeah. I don't think it was faked. If it was faked, they picked the fucking spot to release that thing, dude. Holy shit.
Right.
Or I guess maybe they just threw it out there and it ended up there somehow, because that's fucking Jesus. Lucked out, man.
We were aiming for Staten Island. God damn it.
They couldn't have hit a better place.
it worked out in their favor.
No shit. What do you got left?
I mean,
Buggery. All right.
What do you think?
That's
Where
where
are you
that's
at?
where I'm at. So what I'm gonna say, if it's a raccoon, it is a raccoon that. Well, okay, no. What we didn't talk about is the Viking funeral. Do you have that in your notes?
Yes. I don't have it in my notes, but
Okay. Let's talk about this real quick.
I don't have I don't have specific names or anything.
I have the article
think-
up somewhere. I can pull up the gentleman's name.
Okay.
3 young men. I don't have a name.
Okay. So apparently somebody came forth and confessed to it being
They said
their fault.
Well, so what they said was 3 young men found a dead raccoon at a nearby shelter
Yes.
a few weeks before.
Right.
They, like, as a joke, they gave it a Viking funeral. They, like, made it a raft out of sticks and an inflatable toy and just, like, sent it out to sea with a watermelon and some cloth scraps, excuse me. They set the carcass on fire, and many were skeptical of their story, I guess. A curious 15-mile route the carcass would have had to have traveled to get to Montauk, according to this.
I don't know how unlikely
but-
that would be, though.
I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't really understand either. But allegedly, they kind of just like... And there's a picture that I think is of that.
Posted in the show notes, of course.
If the picture will be there, whether I can't prove if it's from this or not. I think it is. Enlargement of one of the trio's photos shows what could be a band across the raccoon's right foreleg.
Okay.
So they tied the raccoon to it so it wouldn't go off. That's why it has that little tuft of shit on
That
it.
makes sense. I mean, he's got a good point there.
What about the fucked up face? Just decomposition
it's
from...
been in the water.
It was already dead, so
had to
maybe its
travel
face was kind of
15
fucked up
miles,
anyway.
you know.
You wouldn't really know if it's like its face was broken in a weird way. If its skin was still over, it's just like, oh, it's dead. Its face is a little fucked up. Then once all that stuff comes off, the
I've
skin
read that in the area, the tides are pretty bad, like pretty rough.
the
And
water, okay.
So so it could get beaten up, hit by rocks, pretty easily, probably.
Well, at that end, just like fish taking bites off it and back, like just decomposition.
And
Get a lot of
it-
micro, just bacteria and shit in there too, just eating.
the skin was also like purple.
The skin
brown,
wasn't completely gone.
like
It was just on the nose.
burned,
It did kind of look a little bit singed in one spot. It did look bruised, but
yeah.
I don't. It's not like burnt to the point. Again, you'll see the photo. It's not fun to look at, but you'll see the photo.
Stare at the photo for a while. Just take a few minutes, just stare and be like, "What the fuck?"
What do you think?
I really like the Plum Island, like animal research center or whatever.
What if it's a turtle otter hybrid created at Plum Island?
I would love for that to be a thing. I would love it, and I don't think that I don't not think that we have the technology for that. I think that
I'm sure
some
that
crazy motherfucker could come up with that.
ridiculous Nazi scientists have the technology to combine 2 animals. Actually, if you want
100%.
to talk about it, they combined 2 fucking dogs, and then there was like the one where they have the small dog's head or the dog's head on the back of the other dog's head, or like when they just have like the dog head that's completely cut off that they keep alive. Like those are some fucking hard videos to watch, man. That shit's
making
weird
me uncomfortable
as
just
fuck.
talking about it, dude.
Ugh.
No doubt. I think it's possible. It doesn't seem realistic to me.
We do
live in
they
fucked up
definitely
times.
do experiments on animals. My thought is if somewhere is doing experiments on animals to the point where they're creating like new animals and animal hybrids and theoretically doing experiments on humans, they're covering their asses a lot better than this bullshit fucking like zero security, like whatever is
Real
going on
shit
here.
show of a
Yeah, like
place.
the whatever that door was is just unguarded and unlocked now.
It's just open.
They
I
don't
think
have enough fucking security. That's you fucking go in, you're gonna die of Ebola anyway. Like what the fuck?
I think they allow tours now. I think I read that you could tour the fucking place. You want to see our really shitty lab?
Shit, that's 300 miles away from DC. I don't think I'm gonna make it there on my trip.
Damn.
Also, I don't want to die.
Yes. Would you like
there.
Ebola? How about Lyme disease?
That's just terrible.
100%.
I'm
I'm leaning raccoon side, for the record. I'm teetering.
What
but
about-
raccoons?
What about Rebecca,
Who the fuck is Rebecca?
the wildlife rehabber from Nuts for Squirrels Wildlife Rehabilitation located in Northeast Florida?
Oh, that Rebecca.
The one who says that that she knows for a fact that the washed up creatures are not former raccoons or possum.
Well, I would like to say that Larry Penny, East Hampton's director of natural resources, says that when raccoons get old, they wander off to marshes to die. In high tide, they could have floated out to sea and ended up on the beach.
What is a marsh?
Like a swamp? I don't know. Is it a saltwater swamp?
An area of low-lying land which is flooded in wet season or at high tide and typically remains waterlogged at all times.
And raccoons go there to die.
And then it just got sucked out to sea?
Yep.
Eh.
Bruised up in the journey, busted its face open.
I've not seen another photo of a raccoon that looks quite like that. Like, the other photo doesn't really look the same. It kind of does, but not. You know what I mean? It's the one that's kind of like blue, the ugly one, they call it.
Allegedly, that is the same thing from a different side.
No, it's not.
I had read that.
It's laying completely different. It's not the same.
Yeah, it is flopped over the other way.
They moved it?
I thought I had read that.
Nobody
it was,
once talked about touching it.
I don't think anybody touched it except for the alleged two guys, the old guy.
No,
and
that's a
Eric
different
Olsen.
color, bro.
It definitely looks like a different thing. I thought my understanding was that one of what's her face's friends had taken that picture. Jenna's friend, one of the 3-4 girls that were there, had taken a picture of it from the other side, something like that. I could be wrong. I thought it was supposed to be of the same.
They
Same
moved it and
creature.
took a picture of its penis. I
Would you
had
be
not
surprised?
found that. What I will say is no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't look the same to me.
I agree. It doesn't look the same.
It looks different.
It's similar. Has similarities.
The
for
teeth
sure.
look bigger on the second one. There is that discoloration on the back hip of that one. Like almost like the back of it's burnt and the rest of it's that white color like it's been underwater.
And that could just be burnt from the sun. Because you float.
This
when
one
you
definitely has a
decompose,
fly on
correct?
its fucking leg. Well, so it depends on where you're at in the decomposition process and where, like, the density of the thing itself.
Let me bring
so
up another story.
If it
real
did
quick.
float, then when it bloats, like there would be air inside it that would then, or the gases inside it that would make it rise again.
All right. So in 2009, September 2009, near Cerro Azul, Panama, a group of teenagers discovered and beat an animal to death that apparently crawled out of this cave.
Yeah.
The body was hairless and bloated, similar to this one. It's much bigger. A biopsy was actually performed on this one by the National Environmental Authority of
biopsy?
Panama. Yes, a biopsy.
What is the difference between a biopsy and an autopsy?
No idea.
An examination of tissue removed from a living body to discover presence. Was it alive?
Biopsy?
It's a biopsy. If it's dead,
was
it's an
dead.
autopsy. Then it would be an autopsy.
Okay.
Whoever wrote that article was incorrect.
So what they had suggested was that, like, the rising tide had caused it to move, it looked like it was moving towards the kids.
The water made it look like it was moving.
Yeah, because it was buoyant. Just that this is my tie into the buoyancy
I'll have
conversation.
a photo of this one as well. It's weird.
It is weird, but they found out that it was a male brown-throated sloth, and that was dubbed the Panama creature. Very similar to what we have now, but this one was beat to death, allegedly, by teenagers.
But it was already dead.
It was already dead. They thought it was alive
because it moved.
as it moved.
This one, I remember seeing pictures of this one, and this freaked me the fuck out forever ago.
It's very large.
Sloths are pretty big, but like this photo in particular freaked me the fuck out because it looks like its feet are hooks, and its hands, like it doesn't look like a thing.
It looks like a log, maybe.
It's the same thing.
Interesting.
There's like close-ups of its face, and it's weird.
This whole episode is weird. I'm glad we did it.
Yeah, me too.
It's very strange.
Where are you at? You think it's a raccoon?
I got to stick with raccoon.
What if it's a raccoon that came from Plum Island?
then it is a raccoon that came from Plum Island, and it might have
All right.
Lyme disease.
Okay. I also would say that I think it's a raccoon.
Oh, okay. Based on our conversations before the podcast, I assumed you were on a different side.
I the guys saying they came forward and fucking did it. It looks, the fingers really throw me. Let me pull up a picture of a raccoon real quick. I want to look at. Okay, I have a problem.
Okay.
The
good.
ear shape is very different on a raccoon versus the Montauk Monster.
Where are the ears all located on a raccoon?
The shape of the ears are rounded. They're not that pointed kind of floppy thing that you have on the Montauk Monster. The Montauk Monster has kind of like terrier dog ears, which isn't the situation on a raccoon.
I mean, you got to keep in mind it's decomposed though. That's what throws me the most. Is I have no idea what a decomposed fucking raccoon looks like that went through the water for 15 miles or some shit. I have no idea. I don't want to know what that looks like, to be honest with you.
Maybe
but if I had to
there's
guess,
like
that's what it looks like.
Variation, like a different kind of raccoon, you know, but from what I'm seeing, raccoon's ears are more rounded, and the Montauk Monster's ears do appear to be like a pit bull's ears, like kind of like a pointed.
Oh, speaking of, let me bring up one more guess.
Dog fighting thing.
The dog fighting thing.
Yeah.
Yes, a pit bull that was tossed aside ended up in the water and ended up in the same scenario as the alleged raccoon. I don't like that story because it involves dog fighting.
Yeah,
but it's out there.
The toes look a little bit too long for it to be a dog, and the teeth don't quite look right. I'm not a biologist. The face shape looks a little bit wrong, but you can kind of get some weird deformities with inbreeding and just with other just genetic deformities. So it's hard to say. And if that's the case, where you have a dog that has that sort of weird deformities and stuff, and I had read, so the dog that I have is part American Staffordshire Terrier, which is like a pit bull. They're like, what is the word? You don't want them. They're not desirable. They're not desirable if they have over 75%. If over 75% of them is white, or over 75% of them is whatever the situation is. And my dog's like fucking white and black and brindly and spotted, and so she's probably in that boat of like being like the undesirable color or whatever. I'm like, she's fucking adorable. I love it. But like, there's some of that too. So like, if it doesn't fit those things, like a lot of times people then they just like don't fucking care about the dog, or don't take as much care of it, or it's not going to, you know what I mean? Like you sort of thing. So it just depends on if you're just like a puppy mill sort of situation and things like that too, where it's like, I know that this is not going to, I guess I don't know how that shit works, but
it's pretty fucked up people out there that do some real
fucked man, goddamn, fucking, especially with dogs. Like, again, they fucking, I don't know if she just fucking got away or what the deal was. They just found her wandering around some rock pile in Alabama.
What the fuck?
Just a little puppy. So that makes me sad. If that's a dog, that sucks. They kind of, the ears look more pointed. It's kind of hard to tell, but they do look like pig ears or like a terrier ear. Like they're more pointed, and I don't see that in the raccoon photos, which is kind of an issue for me. But I guess I can't really see the tip of it. Maybe it is rounded, but it looks big to be a raccoon ear. Raccoon's the most logical thing. Maybe it was experimented on raccoon from Plum Island, which is why its fingers were so long and its ears were long, because the guy's body had long fingers too, right?
Yes.
That wasn't just a coincidence to do with long fingers.
Some disease that makes your fingers long.
What are those creepy monkeys with the really long middle finger? They're crossing raccoons and those guys. Hang on.
This will be a good experiment. We will cross raccoon and weird monkey.
No, not okay. So I'm not talking about like a finger monkey.
Like a monkey that'll fit on your finger.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's like a.
Yeah.
No, I'm talking about the AYE, the super ugly ones with like the grossly long fingers that look like a fucking tarantula spider or something nasty. That's just his fucking fingers.
Ah!
Its face is like, it's like the ugly goddamn thing. Where's his face? Where's your face? Where's your beautiful ugly face?
Don't touch me.
Don't you ever talk to me or my son ever again.
Those fingers make me so uncomfortable.
Video, but you know those fucking guys, the they're fucking ugly. I'll link to a picture of these bitches. They're fucking ugly. But yeah, so that's my theory now. Is it's a raccoon that's been crossed with one of those from the
at Plum Island.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm into it. Like
I don't know. All right, here's the real one I need to ask you.
Okay.
Do you think that Lyme disease
Yes.
came from Plum
yeah.
Island Animal Disease Center? Is that your personal opinion?
I really think so.
I also am
I
under
don't
the
want
impression
to
that is the case.
I don't want anybody that has Lyme disease to think that I'm not taking their disease seriously.
It's still a disease and it sucks, but I believe that
originated or was spread through Plum Island.
I meant to bring this up as well. So again, they're now, it's under Homeland Security.
Yes.
It is run by them, or however it's worded. So on their website of Plum Island Animal Disease Center, they have some very interesting things, like immediately on their FAQs. I was going to include this before, but I spaced it.
So good we have it now.
Yeah. So there was some fun things on here I wanted to include. Reading all of this is really funny to me because of all of the things that everybody's saying like is really, really bad that they do. Like, all biocontaminant waste which leaves the facility must undergo a biological decontamination process. These processes include whatever. It's like, but why
not
is all
by
this
your
stuff
records,
being? Yeah, like it's just, what do you fucking mean? So then the first thing on what PIADC does not do. Does not perform research on human or prion diseases. The primary diseases that PIADC conducts research on are non-transmittable to humans. We do, however, encounter and work with some zoos. Like,
that sounds exactly like somebody that would do all those
we
things.
do not perform research on avian influenza.
Really?
Okay, my favorite one is the third one. Does not and has not performed research on Lyme disease. But Connor, we have information. In 1975, PAADC begins work feeding viruses to hard ticks, including the Lone Star tick, which is a carrier of Lyme disease. And the first cases of Lyme disease were reported in Connecticut and Eastern Long Island, both directly across.
That would make me really nervous to live around that area. I would somebody speak up in the area and get that place removed from the face of the earth.
It's fucking weird, man. Like, I'm uncomfortable having done this research now, I think a little bit like,
Yeah. It's a rough place. Like I am uncomfortable. I'm glad I don't live near there, but they're moving to Kansas.
It's a lot closer.
I feel like you're centralizing the fucking.
Oh, okay. So instead of it being on an island where, like, well, I don't know, like in Jurassic Park, it escaped an island and they made it to mainland. Even the T-Rex did. But I mean,
I know, but you centralize it, you can hit more people faster.
Oh, so you're saying it's like their intention to do that? Do you think they
Maybe.
deliberately released Lyme disease just like to see what would happen?
I mean, judging by their standards of
it seems more like an accidental
like,
sort of thing.
Whoops.
Well, also with everybody arguing like just birds being at the island or visiting the island because it's so close to land and there's seabirds as well. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. So stuff's out there on the island.
In and out and flying long distances. Maybe don't
if your stuff is all up to par and you're like definitely taking care of all the things, like
we've had no accidents ever.
Yeah, and like very good safety rating and everything, but it seems like it's not the case from my understanding. I haven't been there. I'm not conducting the research. I'm just looking online, and this is what the stuff is fucking telling me is that is not the case.
It's got one of those signs that says 0 days since the last accident.
Days since last accident, LOL. That's not 101 days. It just says LOL what? Yeah,
if you live in the area, please reach out and let us know what
so I can fear for you.
What they're like, what maybe there's some like local stigmatism to Plum Island.
Yeah, since the locals were already talking about like, oh, maybe it came from Plum Island.
In one of the first
they talked about maybe
interviews.
It comes from Plum Island, yeah.
So let us know.
I'm bothered to the core by this.
I had no idea this episode was going to end up like this.
That's why I had that thing in the beginning telling you that it was going to take a fucking turn.
I'm glad it did.
All right.
Let's bring it back to the Montauk Monster, though.
Oh, also, I saw that one dude called him Monty. They named him Monty, the Montauk Monster. I like that. I thought it was cute. Okay. And if it's just a raccoon,
Monty
and I mean,
raccoon.
like, also, like, it's like I feel like those guys are the kind of like that like as a joke, like, oh, we'll give him a Viking funeral. Like, is that you being a dick and wanting to light a raccoon on fire, or are you like trying to be like, he deserved more than this? Farewell, brother. So I don't know what their intention is. I guess I would be terrified to touch a dead raccoon.
In that article you read about the Viking funeral, there was a sentence afterwards that was like, yeah, this was shortly followed by like doing some stupid shit and paper clipping our balls or some shit.
Yes, so it sounded like they thought that like these guys were just like out doing dumb shit.
To
like,
give
this
some
is
context.
Fun. Yeah. Just a couple of bros out doing bro things.
A couple bros.
Okay.
Gonna light this raccoon
Let's go light
on fire.
a raccoon on fire.
I found this raccoon last week. I've been keeping it in my trunk.
All right. But I just feel bad for that raccoon at this point.
If it's a raccoon, sorry, dude. Like, you've been through some shit after death.
I would love, side note, would love a raccoon as a pet.
I think a skunk.
No. Skunks like hiss. They're badgers, dude. Badgers are no good.
What if they're chill?
No. Raccoons have thumbs. Raccoons have hands. They can grab shit.
That creeps me
Dude,
out.
he can go open the fridge and bring you drinks. You play video games with the
His
fucking...
hands aren't that big. I don't think it can bring you a beer.
It two-handed, it double-fisted.
I need 2 beers.
The fuck do you need 2 beers?
Yeah,
Bring one at a time, motherfucker. You're a raccoon. I don't care.
You're right. I can't finish one.
I mean, it's just... I always thought it'd be cool. They're a pain in the ass. They're a lot of work, but I just thought it would be cool to have a raccoon as a pet. Not gonna happen. This fucking dog, I can't even fucking keep quiet up here, so who knows? So are you dead? What happened? All right, so let's check back in over on Instagram and see if anybody had anything to say. Anybody else thought it was a raccoon or what they thought it was.
All right. It looks like 2 people voted yes, it is a raccoon.
Okay.
4 people voted no.
Okay.
So maybe they'll change their mind after they hear the episode.
Go back and comment if you were one of those people who voted. Go back and comment on that post and let us know if you change your mind after listening.
We did have some comments here on the Instagram.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, guys.
MXCKXY.X. Why does it look like it has a beak?
That's what we want to know.
It's a good point.
I believe that individual is also active on Discord.
I believe so as well.
You should be too. You should be too.
And Giorvis agreed and said a decomposing raccoon. Like where your head's at, Giorvis. There was some votes on the Facebook because it shares also to the Facebook story.
Okay.
2 votes for no, it is not a raccoon. And also, I believe some
is it
comments on that
overall
as well.
tied 4-4? Yes and no. Once again, we're split completely across platforms.
Yeah, apparently.
What do you got for comments on Facebook?
Pulling them up here.
Oh, sorry.
All right, Levi. You looks like a dog to me. I think it's gonna be a yo, but I want to reply with I don't look like a dog. Greg over on Facebook says maybe, but I would have to say no. Decomposing bobcat? Question mark? I don't know, maybe. And Liz, it could be. The body seems similar, but like, what the fuck does a raccoon have to go through to end up like that?
A Viking funeral, of course.
Yeah, yes. 1 Viking funeral. And about 15 miles in the ocean. That was...
I feel bad landing on raccoon because going in, I was like, there's no way it's a raccoon, but... And maybe that guy's story, like maybe they did do those things and that's not what washed back up.
Yeah, who knows? That was what, a week in advance?
2 weeks.
2 weeks. So anything could have happened
in
2 weeks
before, yeah. It
could be a raccoon.
In my mind, a body wouldn't last 2 weeks bumping around the shallows of the ocean like that
without getting eaten or...
like large chunks being taken out of it or bigger bites being taken out of it by something.
True.
Or just more decomposition in general.
But it was
happening.
on a raft.
I mean that they set on fire.
Yeah. Could have been
It didn't wash up with the raft like it was. The birds would have got it at that point, man.
Could you imagine that a raccoon? This thing
rolling
rolling
up
up on
colony
a raft.
of raccoons somewhere on an island over there. This was the last one.
They've invented rafts.
They have thumbs. They can do anything.
That would definitely lead towards the like alien.
If it had a raft.
It's smart enough to make a raft. Maybe it's smart enough to make a spaceship.
I just pictured that fucking I'm on a boat song, and I'm really annoyed about that.
I'm on a raft.
Or like snakes on a plane, but raccoons on a raft. Let's go.
Motherfucking raccoons on a raft.
I've had it with these motherfucking raccoons on this motherfucking raft.
Oh, Jesus.
I feel bad with it being. I think it's probably just something easily explained.
Yeah, and there is other washed up animals that
There's a
end
lot
up on
they all
shore.
look fucking weird.
They look weird, but that doesn't mean they're not.
The sea creatures one gets me the most when it's like something that's like all the skin's really gone, so we're not really sure. And even
Lauren Coleman even said it was a raccoon. I can't argue with that guy.
yeah,
He's like a fucking cryptid Santa Claus.
he is. Oh damn it! I'm trying to thinking like Saint Nick, but I'm trying to like go Father Cryptid or something. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
But like I can't
Father
quite.
Cryptid.
He's like his beard.
I like Father Cryptid. I am going to reach out to them and it's like, hey, name change real quick.
as long as you
Father
don't call him
Cryptid.
Daddy.
Daddy Cryptid. Boo Daddy. Boo Daddy Cryptid.
Daddy Blonde Beard. So I think that puts us on a 1v1 time, yeah?
Yeah.
So-
What are you thinking? 1v1 versus
this one's
Montauk Monster.
This one's a little
and-
different because the Montauk Monster we're not really arguing as having ever been alive. And if it was,
Yeah,
it
you're
might have
right.
just been a raccoon. Whereas,
It's already dead.
yeah, exactly. So the Wampus Beast already won, but okay, yeah. Last week we talked about the Wampus Beast. So we do the 1v1 this week, last week, and tell you what we think would win. So I mean, if the Wampus Beast was a panther, it would kill the fuck out of a raccoon. Yeah, like
Yeah.
I mean, there's no
More
contest
than
here.
likely, Panthers coming out on top on this one. This
I gotta give it to Wampus Beast.
hands down, Wampus Beast.
The size advantage alone, man.
And some people might out there be thinking, maybe it's something else. Maybe they're not on board with the raccoon.
Yeah, I mean,
So be it.
even if it's whatever else it is, if it has a beak, like great, that's maybe an advantage. But if it's roughly the size of a cat, like a little bit bigger, the size of a raccoon, versus the Wampus Beast, yeah, if we're taking it as like this is the best that it could be, it was a fucking 800-pound panther.
Yeah, but what if the Montauk Monster is a alien that can raft?
So the only thing that was left of its clothes was the
the
little bit
band.
of its sleeve. It was like it was the Star Commander. It was his like his little thing on his
Yeah,
sleeve that like signified that he was the leader.
he's the general of the alien armada.
Thinking of Guardians of the Galaxy now.
Alien
This
Armada
is this is
sounds
getting really
badass.
sad. This is getting sad. Especially since the raccoon that like was the not like
Yeah,
the actor, but the actor for lack of a better word. They used him for like the modeling and like
Yes,
for a lot
yeah,
of the CG stuff, and the raccoon died, and that was sad.
That's
Well,
our
sad.
tie-in to current events.
And it's not even that current. Almost as current as the holiday that we are celebrating that I don't remember what it is. St. Patrick's Day. There we go. So 1v1.
Leprechaun's
Are
Day.
you what do you think? You're also Wampus Beast?
Yeah, Wampus Beast. Even if it was a genetically modified creature on,
We'll never
Plum
really know,
Island.
and it's not like it would be able. I don't think it would have any like
be like
superpowers.
super-
Like, yeah,
it wouldn't be like a
not that sort of thing.
supernatural
Yeah, no,
thing.
I don't take it as such either.
It'd
So
be just a deformed. It'd be a raccoon with a beak.
fucking no contest here. But why don't you head over to social media and let us know what you think?
Head over to social media and agree with us, and we will get into our next segment, which is rating those from last week.
Yeah, but before we do that, real quick, there is a new 5-star iTunes review.
Oh, hey, I'm glad you remembered.
I did remember this one.
Is
Is
lackluster.
This one's good. It's from Ricky Dew. He says, "Tight. Wish they gave more info, but whatever."
There's at least
Fair enough, dude.
There's at least an hour and a half of information in this episode. Shut up.
This episode
We researched for 48 minutes.
was much longer than that. Yeah, I mean, I obviously we try and do what we can on some of it, and sometimes it ends up not going the way we
Yeah.
planned, and
We got
things
full-time
like that
jobs.
too. We're
and
trying.
We got things to do.
He still gave us 5 stars though, so
Nobody
I assume,
pays us to do this. Shut up.
I assume he still likes the show because he said, "But whatever," and he gave us 5 stars. So
I appreciate you
I also
listening.
assuming it's a he.
And
Ricky for some whatever. Fuck it. Thank you for the review. I appreciate it. You're asking for bad reviews and nobody's giving. I mean, he's being honest.
I appreciate that.
Me as well. I will
Thank you for
try to
writing
consider
in.
that moving forward and give you more information.
Take a note from Ricky and go over and write your own iTunes review or review on Facebook or anywhere else you feel like writing a review. We check most places pretty regularly. So.
Oh, yeah, we'll be aware. Pimp that Discord link one more time over in the description. All the social media and everything we talk about for links. It's all in the episode description. Can be found on countingcryptids.com or gobblesquatch.com. Let's hit that 1v1 from the last episode then. The results from the 1v1 from the last episode, which was the thylacine, the Wampus Beast.
Yes.
What the listeners thought. Okay, let's go.
All right, for the 1v1 results today, it's just me. Due to my poor planning, I am stuck recording the 1v1 results by myself, minus Jacob, It's okay. I'll try to make it as painless as possible. Anyway, let's get started. Facebook. The Wampus Beast dominates over on Facebook, with the Wampus Beast getting 67% of the votes and thylacine 33%. Not much of a different story over on the Instagram. 67% Wampus Beast, 33% thylacine. And Twitter, again. This is the one where I posted 2, and they got the exact same votes both time I posted. 75% Wampus Beast, 25% thylacine. That brings it to an overall domination by the Wampus Beast with 68% of the votes across 3 of our social media outlets. Sorry, this one's short and sweet. We had a pretty long episode, so I hope you enjoyed that. If you want to be a part of our polls, make sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/countingcryptids, Instagram.com/countingcryptids, and twitter.com/countcryptid. You can find all those links at countingcryptids.com. Really easy to remember that one if you're a fan of the show. But I appreciate you bearing with me on this super lame 1v1 results section of the show. Hopefully next episode we'll have Jacob back for the 1v1 and he can make it more interesting than I can. But yeah, thanks for checking out the show. Appreciate you guys listening.
Thanks for checking out this week's episode.
If you want to get your 2 cents in, answer this week's polls on social media.
You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, as well as Discord.
Links for social media, as well as everything else we talked about on the show, are available at gobblesquatch.com.
If you have any questions, concerns, suggestions, or you just want to chat, you can email us at countingcryptids@hotmail.com.
And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and tell your friends.
I've been Jacob.
I've been Jacob.
And we'll see you in a couple of weeks for another fascinating installment of Counting Cryptids.